wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it, so, but I will speak to the DOJ. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to speak to the DOJ. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people have asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy has asked me for a pardon.
That the government took a big swing at him, and basically tried to take his entire fortune and net worth and the rest of his life.
So it doesn't mean that the government can tell him what job to do.
Diddy may be facing one of the most dangerous moments of his life. According to Michael Franzese, a former high-ranking member of the Colombo crime family who later served time in prison, Diddy was reportedly attacked with a homemade weapon and nearly lost his life. Even more concerning, this incident may not be the end of it. There could be greater ahead for Diddy.
Are you concerned that Sean Diddy Combs could be assaulted, violently assaulted? Is that a thing? Because based on what was said in court, it feels like a thing.
Yeah, it clearly is a thing. I mean, they're already, and he did not want to make a big deal of it. They already tried to shank it once at the MDC, and that was thwarted. And it happens in prison. I mean, you and I can tick off how many times we are aware of somebody getting seriously injured in prison. And so they're going to have to keep him somewhere that they can keep an eye on him. It would have obviously been better if he had gotten less time and had been at a camp, but he's going to be in a facility where somebody's going to have to, from the BOP, and I think they're well equipped to do it if they can, to keep an eye on him because he is a target.
Diddy's legal team is bracing for serious trouble after his close friend, Chiruchi Finney, revealed that his safety is at risk. According to reports, another inmate managed to get into his cell late at night with a weapon and attempted to attack him. This is now the second time someone has tried to harm him while in custody. And despite how alarming this is, it's still not the biggest challenge he's dealing with right now.
Diddy was threatened in prison by an inmate. It's now being reported that an inmate that is housed with Diddy in the MDC has held a shiv to his neck. And this isn't the first time that we are hearing Diddy say that he was threatened by an inmate with a shiv, so I'm not even sure if I believe it. But now we're hearing of the second attack that Diddy is facing in the MDC from his best friend Charlucci. A lot of people will remember him from the Diddy trial where he was caught outside a lot of the times wearing a Free Puff t-shirt. He was always there to support Diddy. Now Diddy's best friend is alleging that an inmate snuck into his room while he was sleeping and held a shiv to his neck. He then claimed that Diddy woke up, but he doesn't know if Diddy fought off this inmate or if the guard stepped in. Diddy's friend Charlucci is claiming that he believes that this inmate was just trying to intimidate Diddy because he said if he wanted to, he could have harmed him. And this is not the first time that we are hearing that Diddy was allegedly attacked by inmates. Diddy had submitted a letter to the judge before his sentencing hearing where he was claiming that he was attacked by an inmate with a shiv for wanting to sit in the chair that Diddy was sitting in. And in this document, Diddy was basically saying this is one way that you could tell that he is a changed man since he spent time in the MDC, because he said usually he would have fought back against this inmate with violence. He said he didn't, and he de-escalated the situation.
Diddy is currently being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in New York while he awaits transfer to a federal prison. There are concerns about his safety, as some inmates may see him as a target and believe harming him could bring them some kind of benefit. Even though he has wealth and influence, those things may not offer protection in this kind of situation, especially if someone is truly set on causing harm.
Diddy had something very scary happen to him. One of his close friends is speaking out and saying that while he was sleeping at the MDC Brooklyn jail, somebody came and put a knife, pressed it to his throat. Now, as I keep digging into the story, they're saying yes, a correctional officer or a police officer was the one who came and basically helped him out and quote unquote saved him. Yes. And so, obviously Diddy's lawyers are trying to use this as a way to just get him even moved to a different location. But right now, everything is kind of staying as is.
Yeah, his safety being an issue when he's supposed to be, I think in some sort of protected environment. Remember MDC? Isn't that where the Epstein situation happened?
At Diddy's sentencing, his legal team shared that this isn't the first time he's been in danger. They revealed that during a past incident, someone even tried to attack him with a weapon. His lawyer, Mark Garagos, explained that the risks go beyond physical harm, there's also a serious threat of assault. Because of the nature of the charges against him and the evidence presented in court, Diddy could face heightened danger while in prison. In particular, inmates accused of crimes involving harm toward women are often at greater risk behind bars, which adds to the concern for his safety.
Yeah.
Is he safe though? Did you say something about him getting stabbed?
I was going to say, Diddy's team is saying no, he's not going to be safe, because in court, we found out that there was an attempt on Diddy's life, that there was a man that attempted to shank him, but they stopped it, the correctional officers. And they say Diddy didn't even want people to know that he didn't want to make it a big deal. But of course, they're having that conversation about will he be safe because of who he is and how high profile this case is.
Right.
They're also having a conversation. Mark Garagos is a high profile attorney, a friend of Diddy's, but also the dad of Teeny Garagos, who led Diddy's defense about Diddy potentially being in court. And we can and just attacks on his life, because they say that people look at him as like a trophy or a prize, and to do something to him.
Well, what if other inmates hear all of the stuff that we've been hearing in the news all of these weeks, and they scared of Diddy?
That's not how they presented it. I don't.
That's crazy to say Diddy's a trophy. Like, he's looked at as a trophy in jail is crazy. Isn't that crazy?
But even more, Charlamagne talk about the inmates gonna be scared.
Yo, and the lawyers, when they were speaking on Diddy being in prison and the circumstances him being in prison, I didn't never hear about this, and nobody ever said anything about this. And I want to know if it's in the prison records. They said one of the guards stopped a dude from shanking Diddy. Now, I'm like, if he was doing all this positive shit in jail, and they was talking about he was, all the inmates loved him, and they was employing him and doing standing ovation, I wonder what inmate was trying to shank him. Was that one of the Tupac? Was that one of the Tupac fans, or that was one of Biggie fans? Because they said that the guard, they said that in court. One of the lawyers, one of the guards stopped one of the individuals that was trying to shank him, bro. And that was crazy. Nobody, I never, that didn't leak. Everything leaks from prison, but that didn't leak. Nobody wrote home and said, yo, dudes is in here trying to stab Diddy up. But the lawyers mentioned that today. I want to see if they're going to investigate that right there. You know what I'm saying? And base that, or he probably used that, base that on trying to help Diddy getting into one of those camps or one of those programs that, you know, he ain't got to worry about nothing.
Some former Mafia figures, including Michael Franzese and Sammy, the Bold Gravano, have been quoted online saying that if they had known about the allegations involving Sean Diddy Combs, they would not have tolerated it and would have taken serious action. They suggested that violence against women is something that would not be accepted in that world. In some online discussions, people point to these remarks when talking about why Diddy may be facing heightened attention and scrutiny. These are reported comments and public claims, not established facts or proven conclusions about the situation.
I mean, what this guy did is disgusting. I don't think there's a person alive, a man or a woman, especially women, who are not going to hate this guy. Whatever he did was completely disgusting. It's beyond criminal. I don't even know what it is. I look at it like he disgraced everybody. He disgraced the black race by being a black man. I know a lot of black people, and they hate him for it because it painted a picture towards all of them. I think it's being followed all over the world. If he's not found guilty, or he's cut free, or he does a short amount of time, I mean, I could only imagine what the whole world would think. This is a disgusting country.
The murders were gruesome and violent and painful, and they served a purpose. They were meant to terrify people into staying in line, right? Compare that to the things that you've heard alleged from the witness stand and testimony under oath from a lot of these young women and some of the young men who were his assistants. Compare the guys in the mob to the stuff you're hearing alleged against Diddy.
If we did that in the mob, we would be for it. We would never touch women and children and stuff like that. So that's against our rules, our principles. We would never get away with something like that. There was a guy, Roy DeMeo, and Gas Pipe, who became serial killer. for no reason, and they were. So I mean, if he was in the Mafia, he would, and we knew what he was doing, he would have been. Would be no trial.
Diddy's biggest risk in prison may not come from other inmates or organized crime, it could come from the pressure of prison life itself. Being locked up can wear a person down mentally and emotionally. According to Gene Deal, Diddy may not be strong enough to handle that kind of environment. If things become too overwhelming, there's concern he could break and even consider hurting himself. Deal also points out that Diddy has never lived that kind of tough life for real, suggesting his gangster image exists more in his music than in reality.
Because you told me he was silent, that's why I asked.
Everybody's when they first go to prison. Everybody's. If you never been to prison before, you never been behind bars, everybody's. Then you get used to it. It becomes your livelihood. You learn how to stay alive. You got a crust of bread in the corner to sleep in. Everything else is a blessing.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you knowing Diddy personally, do you think it's possible he might take his life?
It takes a certain individual to prepare himself to do a lot of years in jail. From the lifestyle that he had, I'm not saying that he can't. I just don't see him able to do time behind bars. Maybe if he be in a camp type situation, that's a possibility. But based on the lifestyle and what he's done and what he's accomplished, if he had to go behind those bars for a lot of years, I think that he may commit suicide. He do an Epstein.
Why do you think he didn't pull a Russell Simmons and leave the country?
They was watching him, bro. They was watching him. And then I think that he had to turn over his passport. Even if you own your own private jet, they have a system up there whereas that they supposed to check your passport and anything that you need to fly as if you were flying commercial.
Diddy has been reaching out to almost everyone in his contact list, trying to find a way out of jail. Records from the facility show he was making close to 200 calls a day, contacting lawyers as well as well-known figures. Now, details about those calls are starting to surface, and what he's reportedly willing to do to secure his release is raising serious eyebrows.
With having $75 million at his disposal, isn't that by nature the exact thing that they're worried about? If you have this much money, that you could make this thing, you could probably make people disappear if you really opted to.
See, this is the thing. That'll just make more trouble. Why would he make more trouble now? He done already bought off and paid off everybody he possibly could. Have you looked at the indictment? Like, he called some witnesses up to 54 times.
Yeah, 200 and how many angels? 200 something people he tried to reach out to.
Like, what are you running, a telethon or a telemarketing agency? Telemarketers don't make that many calls in one day. Or sometimes not even in a week, all depending on you was on that, you down for Diddy? Like, how does that conversation start? Hey, what's up? You know, I really feel bad about that last time I bashed you in the face with a Ciroc bottle. Look, we good?
Last week, President Trump revealed that Diddy's team had contacted him to request a pardon, and he's considering it. Reports from TMZ suggest that if things move forward as expected, Diddy could be released as soon as next week. This isn't a new request either. Diddy had been seeking a pardon even before his sentencing. According to his lawyer, Mark Agnello, Diddy was very direct about it, telling his team to reach out to Trump with one clear message: I need a pardon. Get me a pardon.
Just 3 days after Diddy was sentenced to over 4 years in prison on prostitution charges, President Donald Trump seems to confirm he's heard from the mogul's legal team. The comments coming Monday from the Oval Office as reporters asked about a pardon for Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's serving 20 years for child sex trafficking.
I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it. So, but I will speak to the DOJ. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to speak to the DOJ. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people who have asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy, has asked me for a pardon.
I love Diddy. You know, he's a good friend of mine. He's a good guy. I think he's a good guy. I'm going to stick up for him.
Trump and Diddy's ties go all the way back to the late 90s. Diddy was reportedly a guest at the president's 2005 wedding, and they ran in the same social circles.
One mogul after another. It's mogul time.
It's your boy Diddy.
ET's cameras caught them together at this New York charity event in 2008.
President Trump, as we've just played, said that Sean Combs had reached out to him. Do you know how that happened? Did he write a letter? Did somebody place a call for him? How did that happen?
I know that it did. I'm not going to betray exactly how, but I know that there has been that communication, and I know that obviously Sean would welcome a commutation or a pardon. It's no secret. I saw today with great interest that there was another person who the president commuted his sentence because of
right, a Bitcoin
what he
person who pled guilty.
Yeah, correct, and got sentenced, and President thought it was an overreach. If that was an overreach, and I forget the exact sentence, but I think it pales in comparison to Sean's. And remember, one of the things that is irksome, if you will, about Sean's, and I call him Sean, the president calls him Puff Daddy. I call him Sean as long as I've known him. One of the things that is somewhat irksome is that the government took a big swing at him, and basically tried to get him into take his entire fortune and net worth and the rest of his life, and they lost. And I think that the 50-month sentence was punitive, if you will. I think, if anything, he should have gotten some consideration for the fact that he took the gamble, he risked it, he went to trial, and basically beat all the mandatory life sentences and beat the mandatory divestiture of all of his assets.
The most surprising part of the situation is that Sean Diddy Combs was reportedly in direct contact with Donald Trump. A lawyer from Diddy's team confirmed that the two had spoken personally about the possibility of a pardon. As of now, the expected timing for a decision is sometime next week. At the same time, there are reports suggesting that many people inside the White House are not in favor of granting it. Despite that, Trump has shared his own thoughts on the matter.
Sean Diddy Combs,
Right.
would you consider pardoning him?
Well, he was essentially, I guess, sort of half innocent.
Yes.
I don't know what they do. He's still in jail or something, but he was celebrating a victory, but I guess it wasn't as good as a victory. Probably, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great. And seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well. But when I ran for office, he was very hostile.
Diddy could be a free man by the end of this week. We broke a story last night that Donald Trump is seriously considering commuting his sentence. And there has been a lot of fallout with our story.
By the way, commuting his sentence before he's even in a prison.
Right.
He's still at Brooklyn MDC waiting to find out which prison he's going to. But this is something that President Trump is considering. And the fact that he's considering it is causing a bit of an internal war at the White House, because not everybody in the administration thinks this is a good idea.
So we are told this, and this is coming from somebody high up in the White House. We broke that story, incidentally, that right after the sentencing, his legal team, Diddy's legal team, got in touch with somebody who had the president's ear, and that the president was looking at the paperwork.
And the president acknowledged that
like 2 days later.
Yeah, in the Oval Office.
2 days later.
Yeah.
So we now know that Trump is considering. We're told that he's kind of waffling. He's going back and forth on this, but there are staffers in the White House telling him, don't do it. So we put this story up last night, and the White House immediately came out and said, fake news.
Mark Garagos, Diddy's lawyer, recently hinted that something major is happening behind the scenes, and it could lead to Diddy being released soon. He didn't go into specifics, saying he isn't able to share details yet, but made it clear that a plan is already in motion. His comments leave a lot unanswered. When someone with Diddy's level of influence, money, and connections is working on a comeback, it raises serious questions. Who's backing him? Who's looking out for him? And if he does walk free, what happens next?
Yeah, I have no idea about timing. All I know is everything that I read in that article looked accurate.
Well, look, that's probably some relief to Diddy's team, you know. And
I don't know. I think they're moving ahead. I don't think anybody is counting on anything, and
right.
But I think the reporting was accurate.
How did you hear he's sparing since sentencing?
I don't know. I mean, I hopefully we'll see him soon and find out.
I guess lastly, I would ask, you know, what do you think his future looks like?
I have the utmost confidence in Sean. I think Sean will make a comeback the likes of which people are not expecting. So I've watched him over. I've known him for a long time. I have the utmost confidence in him.
In whatever sphere. I mean, he's done business, the music,
he's iconic
the
in a lot of ways, and I think he'll make a comeback.
The claim here is that Diddy may try to use his influence to get moved to a lower security prison, where conditions are easier and more comfortable. In lower security facilities, it can be easier for inmates to gain protection and maintain certain privileges. That's why the type of prison someone is placed in can make a huge difference. It affects their safety, their level of control, and how much influence they can still have inside. According to this view, where Diddy serves his sentence could shape everything about his experience going forward. If things go the way he wants, he could end up in a situation where life behind bars is far less harsh than people might expect.
I believe he's a guy with a lot of money. And I'll tell you, this happened to me when I went in there because of the profile I had, because of the way they wrote me up. You know, I had everybody and their brother inmate trying to do a deal with me when I got out, you know, a business deal. They need money. You know, because of the fact that he's a money guy, I think he's going to have more friends than he will enemies. And in a medium security, normally nobody's looking to shank you. When you get into the higher institutions, when people are doing, you know, a ton of time and there's no way you can benefit them, then you got a little more problem. But in a medium security, I don't think he'll have an issue at all. I really don't. He can be too much of a benefit to inmates that are always looking for something. And he could be a golden ticket for some people, at least in their mind.
So he got off like a fat rat in a cheese factory. But for a dude like Diddy going to jail and spending all that time, you know, I'm not saying it's going to be rough or nothing like that, because his former president of Bad Boy, Kirk Burrows, with the federal jail. You understand? Lil' Kim with the federal jail. So, you know, because the type of dude he is, you know, he'll make it, he'll be all right. And plus they're going to send him to a camp, bruh. He'll be in somebody's camp or somebody's dormitory, whereas that it'll be real light for him. So, you know, he'll see the streets back again in 24 months. He'll be out within 2 years. It seems like a lot saying 50 months and everything like that, but it's not really a lot, not at all, bro. It's not a lot at all.
Diddy's legal team has asked the judge to place him at FCI Fort Dix, saying it's close to New York so his family could visit more easily. However, there's another reason Fort Dix is being seen as a preferred option. It is a lower security prison, and it offers a program called RDAP. The RDAP program is an intensive 9-month, 500-hour substance abuse treatment course for inmates. If successfully completed, it can reduce a prisoner's sentence by up to 1 year, allowing them to be released earlier.
I only have a little bit of time left. I got to switch gears real quick to Diddy. So he is asked to be sent to a low security prison out in New Jersey, for where he will serve his, prison term. 4 years, served already 1, so 3, maybe out in 2.5. Do you think he's going to get that request? Do you think he's going to serve it at this low security prison in New Jersey?
It seems like the logical place for him to go. I mean, you've got, based on all of the factors and everything else that goes into the Bureau of Prisons. When they do, they get the file, so to speak. They get the PSR, which is the pre-sentence report. They have a certain criteria, and a lot of that criteria has to do with geographic location and then the severity of the sentence and the charges. All of that would tend to lean towards the placement at this New Jersey facility. So I would say on a bell curve, 80% shot.
According to the message, even if Diddy is released from prison, it does not mean the consequences are over for him. The allegations involved are very serious, and the impact could last for the rest of his life. It also suggests that if he is convicted and required by the court, he may have to register as an offender. In many cases, that kind of requirement stays in place permanently, even after someone is released or pardoned. The main point is that, even after prison or a possible pardon, certain legal restrictions and labels can continue to affect a person's life long term.
He still has to register as a offender. He still has to do all these different things. Even after he's off of supervised release, he'll still have to register. And if he goes to Miami, because his home's in New York, he's got to check in with the local sheriff and say, hey, offender in town, that's what he got to do. I mean, this is not an easy thing for him to have to do it down the road. But is it life in prison? No, it's not. Is it 20 years in prison? No, it's not. Is it even 10 years? No, it's not. But it's still going to be something he has to deal with. So it's no little thing that he is part of this community of people that have to be supervised, and he gave the government a big foray into controlling his life. And that's what happens when you decide to break the law.
Diddy's legal team has already submitted an appeal, asking the court to dismiss his trial entirely. Some believe this may be connected to what attorney Mark Garagos hinted at earlier. There is also speculation that if Trump supports Diddy in this situation, it could improve his chances on appeal. In that case, a pardon might not even be necessary if the appeal succeeds.
We are following some breaking news right now, and Sean Combs is taking the first step to appeal his conviction and prison sentence. His attorney today filed a notice of appeal. Earlier this month, the disgraced music mogul was sentenced to 4 years in prison on prostitution-related charges. His lawyers have argued the conviction should not stand because Combs lacked a financial motive for transporting male escorts. More papers detailing the arguments behind the appeal are expected to be filed soon.
Some people believe Diddy may have received more favorable treatment than expected from the start of his case. In their view, another person in a similar situation could have been looking at around 10 to 11 years in prison. They also point out that even under federal sentencing guidelines, the punishment might have been at least 8 years. From this perspective, the final sentence came in lower than what those guidelines suggest. Because of this gap, some observers say it does not feel like a coincidence. They argue it may reflect a system where influence and connections can affect outcomes, especially in high-profile cases.
Obviously, he's disappointed, although he really shouldn't be. I think, a 4-year sentence here with already credit for the year or so that he has in, I think he did very well with respect to all of the drama and all of the circumstance around this trial. There was a lot of bad stuff out there, and I'm not saying, I'm not passing judgment on that, but it just looked really bad, and he could have gotten up to 10 years or 11 years. So I think the judge, took everything into consideration. I think his family today made a very good plea for him, and I think he did very well. That's my opinion.
So in your experience, like your own experience and other, inmates that you've seen go through it and then show back up at the cell block, how do they take this? Do they bury their head in the pillow and cry, or do they keep their head held high and just pack up their stuff and wait for their assigned new prison? Like, tell me everything.
Well, everybody's different. I'm sure he went back was somewhat disappointed, so he's probably, dwelling on that. Hey, it could have been differently. Maybe I should have gotten out. Maybe he's a little bit upset, a little bit angry. I get it. All those emotions come into play. But right now, he's got to get ready. He'll spend a couple of weeks there until they designate him to a new facility. And he'll be a lot better off in prison than he is in the federal jail. At least there you can move around and you got some freedom on the yard and things like that.
Reports around Diddy suggest that the risk of him returning to prison is higher than many people think. Under the stated release conditions, he would be under strict supervision for substance use. That means a parole officer can show up at his home without warning and carry out drug tests at any time. If he is found using drugs, it could count as a serious violation of his release terms. In that case, he would likely be sent back to prison.
A lot of these conditions sound pretty harsh, but they're pretty standard. Things, as you mentioned, like no contact with victims, also no contact with other criminals, no access to firearms, also unsupervised, or visits, drop-in visits from probation officers at any time, mandatory employment. So many of these are standard. But what I do think is notable is the addition of required treatment programs. And it's not just one, right? It is domestic violence, but also and also mental health. The reason why it's so notable is because we all remember the defense described this as a modern love story. And even though Combs was acquitted of the most egregious charges, it's really a message from the court saying there's really still something that is not right here. There's treatment that is required. There's issues that need to be resolved.
Can you tell us a little bit about his living conditions? Because I know that he's currently in Brooklyn, but he's actually asked to be moved to a federal facility. Why? What would that do to his living conditions?
Okay, so very specifically, he's requesting to be moved to Fort Dix, to a low security prison. So that would very much ameliorate, improve his living conditions from where he is in Brooklyn. So this low security prison is more like a dorm-like setting and also has a specific treatment program that he's requesting to be a part of. And sometimes people who go through this program successfully can get time off at the end.
Well, Angela, we also know that Diddy is going to be required to work 30 hours a week upon his release. Do we know if that's like, he can just do whatever he wants? He's the owner, obviously, of a company, CEO. Or is this something that the state or the courts are going to mandate?
So this is interesting. It is pretty standard, and the legal language is work conscientiously at suitable employment. So that doesn't mean that the government can tell him what job to do, but it does mean that the probation officer can veto what he chooses. And the real point here is access and rehabilitation and not a lot of free time, requiring structure. So given that his employment is generally self-employment and a lot of free time, it's not clear here how the probation officer will respond to that, what sort of restrictions they will put. But yeah, the probation officer can say, this is not okay, too much free time on your hands.
At this point, Diddy's future could go in two very different directions. He could end up leaving prison with even more influence than before, or everything could finally catch up to him and the full truth becomes impossible to ignore. Either way, this situation is not over. If you want to stay updated on what happens next, subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a comment sharing what you think is really going on.